So we got a screener to the remake of Street Trash. Now, Street Trash is a film that I saw a few years ago for the very first time. I don't know why. It was just one that always kind of passed me by over the years. Like I was pretty familiar with the poster. I feel like the poster is fairly iconic. With like the thing coming out of the toilet, and it looks really nasty, and it
Hmm.
definitely is a striking cover that I always remember, but for some reason I just never pulled the trigger on it. And I finally watched it, and it's a very silly film. It has zero plot line to it. It's like these homeless guys get a hold of some like tainted liquor that they steal from like a can't remember if they steal it or if it's like I think they steal it or it's given to them or something. But they drink it, and when they do, it's like they're it's a body horror movie, and their body like it explodes and is really nasty. So when I saw the trailer to this, it definitely had a bigger idea and concept behind it. Actually had like somewhat of a plot line to it, and it was also being shown to be directed by the guy who did Fried Barry, and the actor who played Barry in Fried Barry is also in this as a more minor character, but he's in it a decent amount. So this is about a group of homeless people who get together with this girl after she's assaulted, and they protect her and they bring her into their little crew. And the mayor of the city is like running for re-election, but of course he wants to like get rid of the vagrant population, which is like 90% of the country at this point, and they're like an eyesore. So he's sending out these drones with uh, this chemical
Mm-hmm.
chemical warfare that turns them into like slop goo, and then they just like take street cleaners and like sweep them up and get rid of the trash. So
Yeah.
they're like literally eliminating the street trash, which I actually thought was a really cool plot line for this. um this is a horror comedy, much very, it's a body horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Much more emphasis on the comedy for sure. It's a comedy first and foremost, and a very very juvenile, silly, grotesque comedy that I loved. This is like totally my kind of film. This is totally my kind of humor. I laughed a lot. I actually, what I was surprised by is that I actually really liked the characters, like almost
Hmm.
all of them, if not all of like the main characters. I actually like really bought into them, and when a couple of them died, I was actually like pretty upset about it
Yeah.
because I really liked them. And when there's some dramatic parts, the girl has a moment where she's talking about her past and whatnot, and she's like crying, and I actually thought her performance in that moment was actually pretty solid.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, I was not expecting that from this movie, because the movie is so over the top, so silly, so vile. And we were
Yeah.
watching this while we were eating, and Kaylee was like,
It's not a
this is
good
such a bad
decision.
decision. I
Yeah.
was fine. I don't get grossed out, but I can definitely say don't eat while you watch this, to be safe.
Yeah, no.
Now I am curious on what you thought, because
Um,
I don't know what to expect from your.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty entertaining. But like I don't know. I guess I didn't really know what to expect. It's definitely an absurd movie, and it like embraces that. I agree with you. I think that the characters, I liked all of the characters. I think that they were like surprisingly like kind of charming and stuff. It's super silly. Like it's not trying to not be silly, which I like. Like I'm glad that it's embracing all of that. I would say that the humor for me isn't really my brand of humor.
Yeah.
Like some of it I thought was pretty funny, but I definitely wasn't laughing as much as you were. I think I was more just kind of like kind of open mouth, like
Yeah,
shocked a
shock
little
humor.
bit,
Mm-hmm.
which is yeah, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the gore and like everything is very also very silly and very like over the top. There's a lot of like faces being pulled off, like everybody's face gets pulled off at some point. And I haven't seen the original, so I don't really have anything to compare it to as far as that goes. But I liked like the ridiculous gore.
Yeah, I mean, the film is, from what I could tell, outside of maybe, I don't know if there's anything. I'm trying to think of absolutely anything in the film at the moment that's CGI. I think absolutely everything in the film is
Mm.
practical. And I was not prepared for kind of like the scope of this. I actually thought
Mm.
this movie was much bigger than I was expecting. Like you can see that there's a limited budget
Yeah.
and the locations and whatnot that they have use of. They can't fill the space with enough people to make it look how they want to. But for the amount of kills that are shown on screen and how graphic they actually are, I mean, they're like super nasty and over the top purposely. But I actually thought they never shied away from a single uh, death in the movie. Every single one is shown on screen in full graphic detail, and there's a lot, like a
Yes, there
lot.
is a lot.
I'd say
There's
we
a lot of
see
deaths.
30, 40 people at more, maybe
Mm.
50. I mean, there's a lot of violence and gore, and it's either gonna really work for you in the humor, or you're gonna be super annoyed by This is either gonna be a film that resonates with you in the humor, or man, you're gonna fucking hate this film. So it's just, I think that's what it really comes down to. But I think if you like the first movie, I could even see this being like a requel,
Hmm.
um where it's kind of a sequel, kind of a remake, because they
Yeah.
do some nods. There is a character that like drinks the tainted booze and has the same response, that kind of stuff. So you could just see this being a future version of that stuff that the government gets a hold of and uses against its population, and maybe they like banned that toxin or whatever from the event that happened in the first movie. I don't remember exactly how the first movie ends. I don't think it like gets global or anything insane. I think it's very, very contained to like this small group of homeless people that it affects. So I could actually see this kind of being like a sequel, um but one I had a great time with. The it reminds me of something like Hobo with a Shotgun.
Mm.
That's the kind of vibe it's going
Yeah.
for, and I think that it nails it. I was very impressed with how much I enjoyed the camaraderie between the characters. Fried Barry, whoever that actor's name is, he's really funny in this. He has
He
a
is really funny.
sidekick that is so absurd and only he can see him.
So ridiculous.
Um, there's a lot of like dick jokes and
Yes.
gags in here
Yeah.
for sure. There's a lot of vile humor with like how they talk to each other, a lot of drug use, a lot of
Yes.
just it's an absurdist film. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
that's really
sure.
what it's going for. And if you saw Fried Barry, it's kind of like Fried Barry with more carte blanche and budget to do what he wants.
Mm.
So he's kind of unleashed, and I love it. It actually it also kind of reminds me of a Steven Katansky film,
Mm.
like we just watched with
Yeah.
um,
Freak. Frankie
Frankie
Frico.
Frico.
Frankie
Yeah, yeah,
Frico.
yeah.
Yeah, it
It
has a little bit of
reminds
that.
me. So if you're a fan of like Astron 6 stuff, and like Hobo with a Shotgun or stuff like that, yeah, I think this could definitely be up your alley. Or even like Turbo Kid, it goes
Mm.
for that, um, you know, impoverished, like super ridiculously over the top. Everybody is poor as fuck or rich
Yeah.
is all hell.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah. I'm glad you really liked it. I don't think I liked it as much as you, but I still felt like it was pretty entertaining.
Kaylee the whole time was like, "What?"
There's a lot of those moments.
There is so
There's a
many
lot of those
WTF
moments.
moments in this movie, and yeah, and
I
you
think
kept
for me,
mentioning that one of the main characters looks like Stanley Kubrick, and
oh
I
yeah,
kept
the
thinking it
whole
too.
time that's
Yeah.
all I could think of. Chef, that character, I was like, that's Stanley Kubrick. Okay. I think for me, like the difference between something like this and like Frankie Frico is that this is a lot more of like adult humor, as you said.
Mm,
Whereas Frankie Frico, like it had a few moments of that, but not nearly as much. Like it's a little bit more like
juvenile.
childish,
Yeah.
but like in a not in a juvenile way, like in a like more play. Like they're both playful,
I
but
see.
just there's like a different tone to
It's like
it.
Sesame Street on acid.
Yeah, whereas this is like it, as you'd said, there's like a lot of like adult like dick jokes and a lot of drug use and all that, and that's fine. Like I don't have anything wrong with that. It just isn't as funny to me as like it being, I don't want to say wholesome, more wholesome silly, but I guess that would kind of be the difference
I get what you're saying.
between Frankie Frico and this. So yeah, I don't know. That stuff just doesn't make me laugh out loud. It just makes me like, what? Like that's all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, this is more of a playful version of like, um, a oh, why am I blanking on this director's name right now? Neil Blomkamp, who directed like District 9 and
hmm,
Elysium and Chappie. He likes to do these almost post-apocalyptic, because everyone is so impoverished. It
yeah,
almost looks, post-apocalyptic. But if you were to do that, like really, really fucking silly,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah. It fits in with like a Mad Max or something, but
Mm-hmm.
silly, almost like We Are Zombies, which we
Mm-hmm.
watched earlier this year as well. So yeah. Anyway, it comes out November 19th. Is that what I said when I was like repeating it
Yes.
over? So it's gonna come to VOD on the 19th, and then it will release sometime in December on
Mm.
Screambox. So this is a Screambox original, but I was when they sent me this, they were like, it's coming to Screambox and on VOD the 19th of November, and then they were like, wait, correction, I guess it's not coming to Screambox until December. So if you want to watch this early, you'll have to rent it on VOD. But if you have a Screambox account, it will be there for December, for Christmas time.
Yeah.
So we're getting. I didn't see an embargo on this, so I guess you guys are going to get this way ahead of time. So look out for it here coming up. I guess November 19th is not that far from
It's
now.
not that far.
We're only in
It's
the
like
like what,
a
7th or 8th now.
week and a half
It's like a week
away.
and a half. But on Screenbox it's gonna be like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what did you guys think of the original? If you saw it, are you looking forward to this one? Has anybody seen Fried Berry? And yeah, I mean, always can check out a trailer to see if you vibe with that.
Yes.
But all right, we'll see you in the comments. Adios.
Bye.